Hello, I'm Jonathan Michaels, and I'm excited to present to you some of our recent work. We're constantly receiving sensory information from the environment and from our bodies that is necessary to direct our behavior. If this person is riding the bus with her hand on the grip, if she feels a bump, she might grab more tightly to stop herself from falling over. To make these corrections quickly, she could use prior knowledge to predict what kind of perturbations may occur. If she can't see out of the front of the bus, she may have a baseline expectation of how likely it is that the bus might turn suddenly, which might not be enough to prevent her from losing her balance during a turn. On the other hand, if she can see in front of the bus, she may be able to use that prior to prepare more effectively. It's clear that these kinds of expectations are used by the motor system to prepare for unexpected disturbances, but it's not known exactly how this information is reflected in muscle responses to unexpected perturbations. Following an unexpected mechanical perturbation, different kinds of information are represented in muscle responses at different latencies. For example, the short latency response is purely spinal related and is modulated only by simple aspects of control, such as the current load level. Meanwhile, the long latency response includes subcortical and cortical responses and is modulated by a myriad of factors that are often associated with voluntary control. The main question of this work is to ask if and when sensory priors fit into this picture. To test this, we devised an experiment for the kinarm exoskeleton, where subjects moved to a single target after receiving an unexpected mechanical perturbation in one of two elbow perturbation directions in or out of the target. Before the perturbation, subjects were cued about the relative probability of the direction of the upcoming perturbation, cueing subjects directly with an explicit sensory prior. These cues and perturbations were randomized from trial to trial, so it wasn't possible for subjects to adapt. This is work that was done in collaboration with Jack Zhang and Jeff Weiler. We have three possible predictions of how the probability of perturbation direction may be reflected in fast muscle responses. The first prediction is that during the short and long latency periods, there'll be no effective probability. A second prediction could be that there would be categorical differences between the certain and uncertain conditions only. While our third prediction is that there could be a graded effective probability, taking into account the exact probability distribution that we showed to the subjects prior to the perturbation. Looking at the average elbow kinematics across subjects, we can see that following the perturbations in or out of the target, elbow kinematics showed a clear scaling by cued probability. For the out conditions, corrections were faster when the perturbation was more expected, and for the in conditions, the arm was slowed more quickly for the more expected perturbation. Surface EMG recordings from bicep and brachioradialis muscles revealed the muscle responses in the average here scaled with probability during the voluntary epoch when the muscle was shortened and during the voluntary epoch when the muscle was lengthened. As a control, muscles show no modulation by probability during the period before the perturbation. So we see here that there's a clear scaling of the probability during the long latency epoch. At a higher level, we could ask why the long latency muscle responses show scaling by probability when the direction of the perturbation is completely disambiguated when the perturbation occurs. Furthermore, what neural strategy do we think underlies these results? To answer this question, we built neural network models trained to control a realistic biomechanical model of the arm during planar reaching as part of our MotorNet toolbox with Olivier Caudel, currently in preparation for release. When subjects performed our experiment, they were immediately able to execute the task because of their lifetime of diverse experiences with their body and environment. Therefore, we trained the networks to control the simulated arm during a more naturalistic version of the previous experiment. Networks had to reach to random target locations following perturbations of the elbow with random magnitude. Crucially, networks received a high-dimensional probability signal that indicated the entire probability distribution of possible elbow perturbations, including separate input channels for many possible perturbation magnitudes. Here we see results of the modeling that show that models trained on the naturalistic task but tested on the human experiment showed extremely similar behavior and muscle activation to human subjects. By subtracting off the mean muscle activity, we can focus on the time course of the probability information. Models replicated the time course of probability scaling in the muscle, including scaling during the long latency epoch for out conditions where the muscle was stretched, and scaling by probability starting later for the in conditions where the muscle was shortened. The most dominant neural signal in these networks, as determined by demixed principal component analysis, is a condition-independent signal that delineates the part of the trial before and after the perturbation. In other words, the networks developed a mechanism to detect when the perturbation occurred and use this internal signal to drive appropriate response at the correct time. This internal signal develops in the naturalistic task because the perturbation itself is too variable to directly drive the correct response. The onset of this condition-independent signal causes the network to act on the best information it has, as provided by the probability signal, until enough information about the perturbation direction has been accumulated. These modeling results provide us with a potential neural explanation of why we see probability scaling in the long latency muscle responses. It's important to say that the match we see between the modeling results and the human data was in no way guaranteed, and we've tested many different modeling parameters. For example, if models are trained only on the human experiment, networks do not develop a large condition-independent signal, since the perturbation itself is very reliable and can mostly drive the correct response immediately. In this case, muscle responses do not scale by probability, since the prior is not needed, while under natural circumstances, a large condition-independent signal is needed to drive movement in response to all possible perturbations. This experiment provides a possible explanation of how, in the brain, information from a world model, which is analogous to the probability inputs in our task, could provide continuous input to a low-level feedback controller, which is analogous to the neural network in our model, to bias its control policy during behavior. We're fascinated by these results and the predictions they make about the neural basis of motor control. So we've trained a macaque monkey to perform a similar task and plan to record neural activity from multiple brain areas during this behavior to answer these questions at the level of neural populations. With this, I'd like to thank everyone involved, especially the contributors to this project, all members of the Pruszynski Lab, and our funding sources. We'd love to hear your feedback at 9:15 a.m. Central Time on November 11th. Thank you.